I think it's a really good example of what people can achieve on a. It's not a high budget scape, is it? It's got no CO2 injection. Hi everyone, George here. I'm with my good friend Ray McCoon, owner of Scape Nature, in his beautiful home. Check out the playlist actually. I created a brand new Scape Nature playlist featuring all of the videos, anything to do with Ray and Scape Nature. So if you want some more insights into this beautiful store and Ray's beautiful scapes, then consider checking it out. This is a beautiful, shallow aquascape. Is it custom built?
It's a green aqua tank, which I bought before we actually started Scape Nature.
Right.
With the same footprint as the ADA 60F, which is no longer made actually.
Yeah.
So they're no longer available. But yeah, just the same, pretty much.
So obviously rimless, open top, low iron glass, minimal silicon, very shallow. What is it, about 18 centimetres?
Yeah, that's right.
High?
I think it's actually 16.
Is it? So about 6-7 inches high, 30 centimetres front to back, 60,
that's right, yeah.
60. I'll put the dimensions in the subtitle right now below. And this has been running for how long? 3 years?
It's over 2 years. I didn't get it planted up right away. It was actually after we opened up Scape Nature that I ended up planting it here.
Yeah.
So I think it was March 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really good example of what people can achieve on a. It's not a high budget scape, is it? It's got no CO2 injection.
No.
I mean, the lighting is quite a premium light, although it is their kind of entry level model, the Kessel A80. I think I love this because it casts the really nice kind of shadows, doesn't it? Because it's a spotlight effect. And then when you get the ripple, when you sort of agitate the water, you can see this beautiful shimmer effect. And has it got a filter, Ray?
No filter, no heater.
No filter, no heater, no CO2.
Just the light, and then
you've obviously got some ambient light from the skylights as
yeah,
well.
it gets lots of light actually.
Yeah, and you've got a big door over there.
But no, there's the only equipment in it's the little mist flow unit. They do a mist flow unit.
Okay, is that
put
operating
into the back? Yeah.
Yeah.
And depending on the water level, you have more or less mist. So when the water's quite high, the way it is at the minute, you don't really get
you don't get so much agitation, do you? No, you can see it building up there. Maybe let's get a close up of that.
And then as the water level drops a little bit, you get more of the sort of mist building up inside it.
And I mean, let's just talk about some of the plants. You've obviously got some plants that are growing out of the water. We call this emergent growth, and this is Dracaena.
That's right, yeah.
And then we have some peace lily here.
Yep.
And what's this one now?
We've got a little red mangrove.
Oh, it's a mangrove, awesome. And we've got some Aquarius.
Aquarius grandis, that's right. Variegated.
And some fern.
We've got a little Korean rock fern.
Korean rock fern. And I've noticed this. Ray, what plant is this on here?
So you've got UG, which is a recent addition.
So that's the Utricularia gramifolia.
That's right, yeah. So that's
and you've kind of grown it like
it's a bit of an experiment.
Like a moss. Interesting.
But it seems happy so far.
It does seem happy so far. It's a bit of a tricky one. I've never actually been able to grow Utricularia gramifolia. Let us know in the comments if you've got any sort of
Well, actually, we've got more experiments with Utricularia gramifolia going on as well.
Because it is a carnivorous plant, isn't it? It's a bladderwort, so it captures in nature
little microorganisms.
To get their nitrogen and phosphorus and other nutrients. So it'd be interesting to see how it fares in the longer term.
See, I think out here it's probably going to have access to those kind of little bugs.
It will. Yeah, I think they'll just occur naturally.
Because you get things coming in, you know, you get things sort of landing on it, and you do see little bugs sometimes.
And so, have you found? Because of the nature of having so much sort of light and there's no heater in there, do you find it is almost like a seasonal scape? Does it change with the seasons?
Yeah. So I mean, once you get into sort of autumn, it doesn't quite die back, but it becomes there's less life about it.
Okay.
It's not doing very much, and it actually gets a little bit neglected as well. I don't spend as much time on it over the winter, and usually it's a busy time with the shop too.
Yeah, of course.
And then in spring it really sort of comes to life.
Yeah.
And pay a bit more attention to it, give it a little bit of a spring clean up.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, some plants will have died off over the winter, and we'll maybe replace a couple of bits, but most of the plants are sort of original in there. All of the crypts, and things around the sides.
Yeah.
Nubius.
I mean, they're
They've been
absolutely
in there
zero algae
forever,
in there, isn't there?
We've got Nubius sort of coming up, growing up out of the water. Doesn't really like being too much out of the water. You can see as it gets
Yeah, I
further away.
noticed some sort of scorched leaves here.
Yeah,
This is a Nubius coin.
That's
isn't it?
right, yeah.
Limited edition. Got some Fittonia here.
yep. And that's just planted into that bit of wood, really. It's just sort of sitting on the moss.
Yeah. And then we've got some Hydrocotyl tripartita. I guess that's one of the ones that you have to really control, is it?
Yeah.
And livestock-wise, we've got a bunch of cherry shrimp.
Yep. I put in a bit of fish food earlier. Some of that falls to the bottom, and they all sort of gather around and have a little munch on it.
And is there fish in here?
There's only one left. It's a white cloud mountain minnow. There had been 5 or 6 of them at the start, and they seemed happy enough in there for the first sort of year, and then all of a sudden, I think it was last spring, one of the fish started behaving. It seemed like aggressive.
Oh, really?
It was always chasing others around, and then all of it went from sort of 5 of them down to 4, down to 3, down to 2, and then it's just that one fish that's left. So I don't know what its issue was. But,
Okay, a bit of a bully by the sounds of it.
yeah, it seemed to bully the others, and I guess they jumped, but we never actually sort of found them.
Maybe the cat got them.
That's very possible.
Maybe.
There's 2 cats in here. If a fish jumps out and you don't see it,
I
wouldn't be
love
surprised
your
if it
cat
got
so much.
munched.
I think one of them slept on me last night.
Yeah. If you sit still long enough, you become a cat bed in here.
Yeah.
And then there's some Bucophilandra.
Oh yeah, I
in there
didn't
as
spot that
well.
earlier. Which species is that?
Lamandau mini red.
Okay, that's like an Aquaflora variety, isn't it? Yeah.
Jagain's been in there from the start. It had sort of grown up a bit out of the water and then sort of died back and then came back a very small leafed.
Yeah. So do you do water changes or just top up?
I do a water change each week. It's not even really a full sort of a bucket that comes out of it.
I mean, it
And
must
then
only
during the
hold
week,
sort
sort of top it up a bit.
I mean, the total volume must only be, what, 30 litres or so?
Yeah, with the amount of sort of hardscape and everything as well, I'd say the actual sort of volume is probably, it's less than 20 litres of water. A little bit less.
I mean, you've got a relatively, I guess the tank itself is relatively expensive, the light's relatively expensive, but everything else you can do on a budget.
Yeah.
What's the soil?
I think it was Tropica we used.
Yeah, okay.
I think it was Tropica.
But I mean, for people on a really strict budget, they could replicate a similar system on a much lower budget, couldn't they? I mean, you can get cheap rimless shallow
Cheaper
tanks.
lights. Yeah, no, that's right.
Cheaper lights, and then no filter, no CO2. Plant really heavily, I'd suggest, in the outset to help deal with the algae. Ideally, you want some ambient light, I guess, to supplement the.
And it's maybe important to say, it had a filter at the start, just a little internal one of the Oase Biocompact 25s.
Yeah.
And that was in there probably for its first year of life, which I think probably helped in getting it established.
Yeah.
But then once it was, mature and sort of grown in like that, I took it out and it didn't have any negative effects. And the water stays, pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's
clear.
not gin clear,
no,
but it's certainly viewable. It's not offensive, is it?
No.
There's a slight cloudiness to it, but I think that's fine. The fact that you've got no filter and so much kind of plant mass in there, I think that's interesting. What's this? This is like an air plant, isn't it? Tillandsia?
So yeah, it's a bromeliad
Okay.
of sorts, and there's so many names for bromeliads.
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure of the variety name on that one.
But I think this is a great example of what people can achieve with very little technology. Relying on the seasons, relying on the natural lights. Obviously being careful with your stocking levels because we haven't got any additional filtration. But I would actually argue that the plant growth in here is going to be a huge nutrient export. I mean, look at all this.
Well, do you know that light is actually on at this time of the year, probably like 14 hours a day.
Yeah. Do you do it manually then, do you?
Yeah, so basically in the morning, when I come down, I just put the light on,
Yeah.
and it's on there until going to bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't have noticeable sort of algae issues, on the plants. You can see a bit on some of the leaves, but there's nothing really.
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of, the concept of more plants equals less algae.
Yeah.
The more plants you have, the better you look after them.
I think once they're mature and you've got a lot of mature plants and it's settled down, it really does sort of take a lot of the work out of it.
Yeah.
It's much easier to sort of find balance with it.
Yeah. So this is Cryptocorini willisii.
Yeah.
And then we've got some Anubias Petite.
Yep.
And Hydrocotyl verticillata, some Bucophalandra, Lamandal, Mini Red, some Photonia, some moss here. This looks like spiky moss.
Yeah, do you know, it's had sort of mixes of moss.
Okay.
Again, it's like trimmings and things just get stuck onto it. You've got sort of Christmas moss, Fascicularia.
Yeah.
Is it Montigny?
Well, yeah, the Christmas
My
moss.
pronunciation's terrible.
So,
This moss, you get sort of algae on the moss.
yeah, it's almost like a slimy.
Yeah, it is a bit.
I do get a little bit of that in my Pallida 30 actually.
Yeah, when it's out of
the
the water like that.
Yeah.
I sort of just leave it, you know.
Yeah, let nature
not
take its
overly
course.
fussy about it, but it gives it sort of an old look,
Yeah.
slightly unkempt in places,
Yeah.
but it's not really a
love it,
problem.
And you're just going to keep this running indefinitely, I guess, are you?
I think, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to get rid of it at the moment. This tends to be a little sort of bench of
This is like your
things that we do.
experimental area. Isn't it?
Yeah, partly experimental and beside the dinner table.
This is cool. We talked about this in more detail in the shop vlog, but this is a
That's the
magnet.
new lights that they've
So
brought out, yeah, the
Actually
magnet.
detach that.
You just need to watch, it's got a cable that runs through the back,
Yeah,
so it's sort of attached on. But yeah, you can fix them to anything that's metal.
that's really cute.
That's their glass potches.
Is this Hydrocotyl leucocephala?
It's a Brazilian pennywort.
Yeah, it's leucocephala then, yeah. This is cute, right?
Yeah, so that's a little glass pot Moreau. And lots of little experiments going on in there. So we've got UG, we've got the Tricularia gramifolia at the bottom.
Yeah.
There's like Christmas moss, there's a little jewel orchid, seeing how that does in there. There's also a mystery orchid, which we took out of another terrarium. It was planted a long time ago. We're not even sure what it is.
Wow. Oh, it is actually a mystery. I thought
Yeah,
that was
we
the
don't
common
actually
name.
know. We don't know. We're not sure what it is. If it blooms, then we might be able
This
to
one here that
identify
I'm
it.
zooming in right
that's
now.
right.
Let us know in the comments, guys, if
knows
anyone
what it
can
is.
ID. Have you tried IDing it with a plant app? You know, on your phone?
That doesn't. There's not enough to
it's
it.
not
There's just
too-
those little
not
sort of leaves.
Not
To it.
enough detail is there.
You've got a little bit of boost as well.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It looks like
It seems
is that
sort of
Kedegan?
happy.
Looks like Kedegan.
Again, do you know, it's a little bit that I plucked when I was doing a little bit of a trim up at the shop and just brought it back and put it in. So I get lost with some of the varieties these days because they've all sort of knitted together in a lot of the tanks. You're not sure which is which.
This is a little experiment going on in here.
So that's been going for a long time, but it wasn't flooded until recently. It's probably the longest dry start ever.
Okay, and then the moss is still kind of adapting where I look at it.
So I brought it home from the shop.
Yeah.
And because it's hotter in our kitchen and it's quite close to a heater, it was getting dry. So I just decided to flood it and see how it does.
And the light here, is it ONF?
That's an ONF, flat nano.
Nice. You got a classic garden in a jar.
Yeah, it's been going for a couple of years, just completely wild.
And this is cute, isn't it? This is like reindeer moss, is it?
Yeah, so that's one Jill did. So it's all preserved stuff in there.
So that's basically maintenance free, and it's just going to stay like that forever.
Yeah, never changes.
It's awesome. All right, Ray. Well, thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Just a quick impromptu video, guys, on this beautiful shallow tank. I have done a video on this tank before, so check that out if you haven't seen it. I'll leave a link to those, as I say, in the playlist. And yeah, thanks for joining us on this nice, relaxing morning.
Absolutely.
Cheers, Ray.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Keep on scaping. Bye-bye.